Sasano had always been curious. Even at the Chugako and Kotogako, junior and senior high schools, he often found it hard to simply accept what he was taught. He so wanted to ask questions, but he was merely a pupil, and there was supposed to be no room for doubt that his teachers knew best in everything. That is why they were teachers, his mother, Yuko, would say. Besides, questioning their teachings of wisdom would be considered a sign of disrespect. And then there were the things she and Yuya, his father, taught him at home and when they regularly took him to the shrines and ritual ceremonies. Sasano never actually knew why they did what they did there. The chanting, bowing, kneeling, clapping, drumming, the special long tunics together with the headgear and swords that the various Shinshoku and their disciples wore. But he dared not appear to openly challenge anything. By the time he was 10, Sasano was convinced that it was his mental and experiential inadequacy that was his handicap, his impediment to comprehension, and not the wisdom of the sages. So he must learn to be patient until both time and the benevolence of a kind spirit would bless him with the wisdom of a kami. This conviction continued until the age of 14 when he left Magome in his native Kiso Valley for Takao-machi, some 300 kilometers to the south. At Takao-machi, he would enroll to study at the Yakuo-in Jinja, which nestled with quiet dignity up the almost 2,000-foot-high Mount Takao. Legend had it that Princess Konohana Sakuya had once come down to the shrine at the mountain to personally enlighten a restlessly curious monk, who then went on to become a grand Shinshoku. Yuko hoped her son too would meet the same serendipitous fate. At Yakuo in Jinja on Takao-san, the spirit of Izuna Daigon Gen, which possesses elements of 5 deities, will protect and bless my Sasano, Yuko would say. Yuya would smile at his wife's proposition for their son. And if Princess Konohana Sakuya does not directly bless him herself, the Tengu will. They will carry messages from her directly to him and with their fans sweep away the evil spirits that seem to poison his mind. Yuko would insist. Yuya's eyes would gleam as he admired Yuko, not only for her geisha-esque allure, but her wisdom too. The Tengu, the long-nosed demon-like creatures erected at the Jinja, would certainly protect their son, he agreed. Within the first 3 months of taking residency at the Jinja's seminary on the usually mild, sacred mountain, Sasano's life took a dramatic turn. He was out on the summit of Takao-san, sitting on a rock flat jutting from a ridge of the mountain. He was practicing zazen in the direction of Fuji-san along with his newfound friend and senior monastic Akiara Kobayashi, who had joined the seminary only 2 years before him. During the ritual, while Sasano's body was still, his thoughts were like shooting stars. Why am I doing this? What is the purpose? Is it all about myself? And if it is, to what end? So if I perfect myself, my mind, body and soul through these rituals, what happens when I die? What is the perfect state? Does all this meditative effort die with me? Is it all about the here and now only and a decomposing body afterwards? And where will my spirit go? He felt like one who kindled a fire, but when it illuminated the space around him, his light was suddenly taken away, leaving him in utter darkness. He did not know how much time had passed like this when Akiara's whisper in his ear returned him to his physical realm. "Hey, you little Shinshoku, do you know about the Aokigahara, that thick forest over there at the northern base of Fuji-san? Right over there. You can just about see its edges from our spot. It's where some defeated monks, Shinshoku, shoguns and samurai used to go and commit suicide from shame or guilt if they were unable to maintain the Bushido code for any reason. They probably still do." This information seemed to Sasano to be linked to his thoughts of the previous hour. Had the sages also struggled with questions like his and then found no clear answers? Had they also noticed the inherent contradictions in what was taught? And thus, confused, had they decided that the bargain that they thought they had made all along with their numerous gods was going to bring no grain? Sasano felt that it was not actually Akiara who had interrupted his meditation. Perhaps it was Princess Kono Hana Sakuya who had used the senior trainee monk as a medium to stop him from overthinking at this stage. Sasano was about to ask for more information about Aokigahara and the wise men who, despite their acquired inner peace and wisdom, chose to arrest their life in the forest. But he found Akiara looking a little pallid while packing up. "What's happened?" Sasano asked. "Look, dark grey clouds are setting in," Akiara said. "Hurry, we must return to the Jinja." Why hurry like this?" "Omen." Even before Sasano could get up, a most vicious bolt of lightning and thunder hit Mount Takao-san. Never in his life had he experienced such fear as on that evening. By the time he reached near the Jinja, terrifying gales had begun to blow. Some trees bent acutely. Occasionally, some of their branches broke off and crashed to the ground. It seemed to him then that the evil spirits had come down in a final crusade to destroy the world. They growled as they made inroads, but he imagined so did the Jinja's Tengu. Bolts of lightning momentarily revealed their snarling faces, their incendiary eyes, and their fangs. Rain sprang through the air and poured like spit down their mouths. Whenever a flash of lightning lit up the Jinja, Sasano thought a Tengu had leapt into the air and struck a swooping evil spirit. He watched this thunderous battle crouched by a stairway. He was drenched and too stunned to disgorge himself from his refuge and run into the Jinja. Just 7 steps up the stairs, 4 paces through the torii, and safely into a little alcove on the right. Somewhere in the distance, the mountain range continued to reverberate from thunderclaps that tore like invisible shinkansens across the skies. Sasano trembled at the thought that they were traveling that fast in order to go around the earth and return over his mountain in a flash. It was as if their sole mission was to keep him relentlessly terrified. He screamed. But he couldn't hear himself. He covered his ears in dread of death. Lightning had almost snatched away his sight. Every time it lit his surroundings, he felt he should make a run for cover up the steps. But when darkness instantly enveloped him again, he would freeze. But then abruptly, a very different thought crossed his mind. If whatever great power that was behind the storm willed it, it could have completely taken his hearing and sight long ago. Invisible, undefinable, yet the great power felt extraordinary, much larger, and in possession of an all-encompassing might. Now he felt its embrace. He felt it could easily and instantly prevail over every other spirit that seemed to be engaged in the battle around him. But it didn't. It seemed to bide its time. It seemed to be teaching him something. This intense feeling triggered a strange tranquility, and a mysterious warmth spread within him. Just at that moment, he thought he heard a bone-chilling shriek. "Akiara! Where was Sensei Akiara?" Another bolt of lightning struck the mountain. Sasano thought he saw his friend among the trees, as if grappling with something. Why had he gone into the forest again? Or had he lost his way? But how could he? Sasano wondered. A long, twisted tree branch landed in front of Sasano before quickly getting swept away by a gale-force draft. It looked like the tongue of an evil, bat-winged flying reptile. Had another one just been beheaded by a Tengu? Were the Tengu now beginning to win? Had Sensei Yakiara become a Tengu to fight the evil spirits to protect the younger monk in his care? Sasano laughed nervously as cold drops of rain fell on his face. After what seemed like a night-long combat, an eerie stillness descended upon the earth. Sasano thought the end of time had come to pass. All the lanterns of the Jinja had perished in the attack, leaving the mountain in a tense, coal-like blackness. Only cold rain incessantly pelted down, as if now to cleanse the battle site. It felt that a minute had passed just like this. Then, without any warning, like a galactic matchstick was scratched upon sulfur, the earth lit up again and remained iridescent for 2 seconds. The verdant mountain range, torn trees, plants, fallen branches, twigs, dead birds, the Jinja, all became visible in full color in that blast of light. Sasano thought it was the earth's last spurt to clutch at life before it died. But soon enough, deafening thunder returned and tunneled through the crevices and peaks of the mountain range and back up into the mountains. Sasano covered his ears again and shut his eyes. Another bolt of lightning shone across his pale face, and then another roar of thunder bounded among the mountains, this time sending tremors down to Takao-san's very roots. Just then, something struck Sasano's head and knocked him out. The world that Izuna Daigongen, the Kami, Yuya and Yuko Onodera-san had created for him ended at that instant.